Plaintiffs Lisa and Stuart Weaver are suing their would-be wedding minister, Sandra Wisner, for punitive damages due to emotional distress. The Weavers claim Sandra was late and missed their wedding.
Order. All rise. This is case number 472 on the calendar in the matter of Weaver versus Wisner. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Weaver, according to your complaint, you hired the defendant to perform your wedding ceremony, and you paid her $150?
Yes.
And Ms. Wisner didn't come to the ceremony. She came about an hour late after you called her. She gave you your money back, $150, and did what she had to do because somebody else had performed the ceremony, so she signed the marriage certificate. She apologized, she gave you back your money, and now you want tons of money for your aggravation.
I don't want tons.
Well, you paid her $150, and you're suing her for $1,000.
Yep.
First of all, she didn't apologize.
Well, she apologized by giving you back your money.
That doesn't make up for keeping a room full of people waiting. I mean, when it's your wedding day, that's the last thing you think of is that your preacher's not going to show up.
Terrible.
Yep. And then she sits in an 8-by-8 room waiting for her to come in. It just...
Mr. Weaver, I'm going to let you do the entire thing. You contacted her. The wedding was supposed to take place when and what time?
December 30th at 6:30 p.m.
And she didn't show up. She wasn't there at 6:30, so you called her.
Right.
And what time did you call her?
I got right here on my cell phone bill. It was 6:34. I called.
And did you get her on the phone?
No, left a message.
Okay, and then what happened?
I tried her cell phone at 6:44.
And did you get her?
No,
Go
left
ahead.
a message. Then I tried again at 6:57.
Okay.
Got a hold of her.
Good. And what did you say to her, and what did she say to you?
I said, Miss Wisner, Stu Weaver, aren't you supposed to be somewhere about now? And she goes, oh my God, was that tonight? And I go, yes, I think it was. And she goes, well, I've had travel problems. And I said, I don't hear about your travel problems. I have people here from Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Florida. She goes, well, we got laid over in Atlanta. And I said, so this is what you call taking $150 of the money and run. She goes, oh my, don't say that. And I says, we have someone we think that'll perform the ceremony.
And who was that?
That was a co-worker of Lisa's.
Well, how could she perform the ceremony?
She is an ordained minister for her church.
Oh, good.
But she is not recognized by the state of Ohio.
Okay, but she's an ordained minister for the church, and
Yes,
she's
ma'am.
performed...
And she did not get there until about 7 o'clock herself.
But she was a guest.
Yes, she was a guest.
We have,
She had never performed a wedding before.
Okay, she was a guest. She got there at 7. You asked her to perform the wedding.
Yes.
What time was the ceremony performed?
Let's say about 7:15.
It was,
Okay. And how many people did you have at the wedding?
Between 80 and 85.
Now, you told Miss Wisner to come because she had to sign the certificate.
I asked if she could come and sign the marriage certificate.
And what did she say?
She says, well, I don't think I can make it tonight. Can we arrange it tomorrow? And I says, well, yeah, if you can fly to Hawaii tomorrow, because we leave at 5:30 in the morning for Hawaii.
Okay, and what did she say?
He hauled around a little bit. Of course, she was ill like I am today. So, and she goes, well, I will be there when I can get there.
And what time did she arrive?
I think it was around 9:30.
And what did she do when she arrived at 9:30?
Well, she come in the door and we filled out the form and she signed a marriage certificate and then she handed over a check.
And what did she say when she handed over the check?
She says it's the first time in 12 years. This has never happened in 12 years.
Okay, and you took the check?
Yes.
Good. What happened to your travel plans?
We had planned a trip out here to be with family at Christmas time, and it truly was the trip to hell and back. We ended up our first night out spending the night on the airport floor in Cincinnati, and finally made it to California. Everything absolutely went wrong through the whole trip. We got on the plane on December 29th. We were to have been home that night. We ended up being stuck in Atlanta that night. We didn't get back until December 30th in the afternoon. In the meantime, I got very ill, and the stress of the trip and everything, I just went right to bed, thinking that I know I have a ceremony the day after we get home, and I was in such a muddle that it didn't occur to me that that was the day. I was thinking it was the next day.
Okay. You got there at 9:30?
No.
What time did you get there?
I didn't get there any later than 7:30 because I was home by 8 o'clock and back in bed.
And how far do you live from where the wedding was?
About 15 minutes.
Okay. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Weaver, you got married that day, correct?
Yes.
And you were married by 7:15.
Yes.
45 minutes after the invitations said that the wedding was going to take place, because the invitations called for 6:30.
Yes.
Is that right?
That is right.
Okay. Everybody knows when invitations read 6:30, wedding usually starts about a half hour later.
No.
Her contract.
6:30 is when
No,
the wedding.
that's not what I'm saying to you, sir.
Well, Miss Wisner-
I'm speaking. All I want you to tell me is what you're suing for. I want to hear what you're suing for.
Okay, we're suing for. Here we go. We had to pay the DJ, which I have evidence of, an extra $150.
Good.
And I have my future wife in an 8x8 bathroom for 45 minutes.
Not knowing if we're going to have a wedding or
So,
not.
yeah,
We have a
you're
room
right.
full of people. She was supposed to be there at 6 p.m. to do a rehearsal. She said if you don't have a formal rehearsal the night before, that she requires that you be there 30 minutes prior to the start of the ceremony to do a walkthrough. Well, we had none of that. And she's talking about a stressful trip. We had a very, very stressful wedding.
I understand that. I understand. How do you
But
put
she
it
didn't
down?
even say she was sorry that
I
night.
did.
Not
I
to me.
apologize profusely. You wouldn't
We have
even,
witnesses.
you
Don't
wouldn't
do me a
even
favor,
look at
don't.
me for me to apologize
If
to
you're going
you.
to, don't speak to each other.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Now, Mrs. Weaver, I can understand your stress, but I don't understand why you choose to prolong that stress by instituting a lawsuit for $1,000 for stress when you got married, and whether it was from 7:15 or 7:45 until the wedding was over, I assumed that you danced together because you had a DJ. I assumed that you had dinner. I assumed that you conversed with friends. I assumed that you told this story innumerable times that the minister didn't show up for your wedding. You know, that will make a good story for you to tell 20 years from now. What I don't understand is why you choose to prolong whatever stress you had by bringing on a lawsuit. I can understand that if she didn't give you your money back, but she came and without even you asking, she handed you back your check, which indicates to me that she felt terrible about what had happened.
We still feel that we should have had a phone call.
She didn't even
She had
call.
all 3 numbers to call and say, hey, I'm
She
not
just said to you, sir, she got into bed and she really thought in her own mind that the wedding was scheduled for the day after she got back. It was a big mistake. And according to you, you said to me, when you got her on the phone, she said to you, oh, is that today? Which pretty much is what she says, that she thought it was the next day. How could she have called you? What was she supposed to do, call you and tell you, I think I have a wedding tomorrow? She made a mistake. Mistakes don't always
yeah,
comport
but
to
in
a
that
lawsuit.
profession, that's not a mistake. In that profession, that is not a mistake.
Now, what do you do for a living?
I drive a truck.
Ever make a mistake?
Yes.
Ever not get to where you're supposed to get on time?
Yes.
Did your boss dock you
Yes.
because you made a mistake? How would you feel if he turned around and sued you for his aggravation for an additional $1,000? Just a minute. I'm asking you a question. Would you think that your boss was out of order if he turned around and said, you know, I had a lot of people on my tail because you didn't get there on time, so in addition to docking you, I'm going to sue you for $1,000 or $2,000 for my aggravation? Would you think he was stupid?
He could do that, I guess.
I said, would you think he was stupid?
No.
Sure you would. And I think
No.
similarly. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I told you not to come on this show.
Really, the main thing that I wanted was the principle of the thing. An apology would have been nice that night.
I did apologize profusely, but Mrs. Weaver would not make eye contact with me and would not speak to me.
It was terrible. I mean, I'm in this little room and there's no preacher there.
Panic, yes. Panic's the word.
I think people create their own disasters and their own problems, and they need to take life as it comes.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Jaramillo versus Adamo. Step forward, please.
Administrative assistant Catherine Jaramillo is suing the mother of her daughter's ex-boyfriend, medical transcriber Barbara Adamo, for a loan to catch up on her bills.
Ms. Jaramillo, according to what I've read in your complaint, your daughter and the defendant's son used to date.
Yes.
And that's how you knew her.
Yes.
How long did they date?
About 3 years.
And Miss Adamo at some point had some financial difficulties. You claim a series of loans to her, loans amounting to $2,950.
Yes.
The kids are no longer an item. They're no longer together. Miss Adamo says that while maybe she acknowledges one loan to help her pay her rent, she never received any other money from you. And in addition, she says that there was some sort of a set-off for that rent money, which she's going to tell me about. When and why did you make the first loan?
My daughter came to me and said, you know, can you help her out a little bit? They don't have any food in their house. Both of her sons were living there at the time. She had 4 kids there at the time. And they didn't have any groceries, and she didn't have any money. So I said, sure. So I gave my daughter $100 to take over there so that she could go grocery shopping.
Okay. That's not a loan.
Right.
That's
right.
a gift.
Oh, right, I understand that.
Okay. Did she call you and thank you?
Yes, she did.
Tell me about that conversation.
She just said that she was always out of money, that she was having to go to check cashing places and get payday advances, that no one had ever really sat down and taught her how to pay her bills or how to budget her money. And I told her that I could help her do that because I, too, am a single mom with 3 kids. So we sat down and we wrote down everything she owed, all of her regular monthly bills, a few outstanding debts that she had, how much she made, how much she was capable of making, because if she works more, she can make more. And
What kind of work were you doing, Miss Adamo?
I do medical transcription.
You are an independent contractor?
No, I work at a hospital, but I have incentive. Anything over 1,000 lines a day, we get an additional 7.5 cents per line.
So you sat down with her. Do you remember
Yes.
when that was?
It was in November.
It was in December of 2003.
Okay. Go ahead.
In December of 2003, I asked her if she would help me with my budgeting. So she said, yes, I will help you because she's really good with money. And so I went to her house and we sat down and we put all the bills on the table and we went through the whole thing. And she said to me, tomorrow I'm going to go and get a money order for $1,350 and you're going to take it and pay your rent with it. And I said, wait, Kathy, I don't know when I can pay back $1,350.
Well, your rent was due. How were you going to pay your rent?
I didn't know at that point.
Well, you had
I
to,
was,
just Miss Adamo, you had to pay your rent.
Right. So she gave me the money order for $1,350 a day later.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what arrangements did you make to pay her back?
We had no arrangements at that point. She said we'd talk about it after the holidays. That's what she said to me.
Just a second. You mean she said we would talk about how you were going to pay her back
Yes,
after the holidays?
After the holidays.
So it was a loan.
Yes. Oh, it was a loan. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't clear on that.
No, it was a loan.
Fine.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, you must have a bank statement if you say you withdrew money.
I didn't ever think that I would need them.
Well, you need them when you come to court.
Right.
That's a no-brainer.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Jaramillo says former friend Barbara Adamo owes for a loan to pay bills.
Now, did the plaintiff's daughter give you $100 for groceries?
Yes, she did.
When?
Probably in November. That was before the $1,350.
Now, when was the second amount of money that you gave her?
The same day as the money order, I had my daughter go down to the bank and get the cash out.
For what?
Because when we sat down and we wrote down all of her bills, everything that she owed, I told her that I could loan her the money to pay all of this off so that she could start fresh. And she said that every year she got a really big tax check and that it would be February, March, and that she would be able to pay me back all of this. I completely wiped out all of her debt. She's never disputed that she's owed me this money until today.
Just a minute. How much did you give her in addition to the $1,350?
I gave her $600.
Is that right, Miss Adamo?
That's not right.
How much did she give you?
The only cash she ever gave me was the $100 in November, and then I received a money order for $1,350. I never, ever received any more cash after that point, ever.
Okay. Let us assume for the moment, just other than the $1,350 and what you claim is a $600 cash loan, is there any other money that you loaned her?
Yes, I gave her $600 right before Christmas because they didn't have a tree. She wasn't going to be able to get the kids anything.
Do you have any proof of that?
No, I do not.
Well, you must have a bank statement if you say you withdrew money.
We no longer have those. I didn't ever think that I would need them.
Well, you need them when you come to court.
Right.
And you knew
But
you were coming. Shh, listen to me. And you knew you were coming to court.
Right.
So it's very easy to call the bank and say, get me a duplicate statement. Right?
Right.
That's a no-brainer. Okay. $1,350. Let's go.
Okay. And then my son graduated from boot camp, and I took Andy and her daughter, which she was supposed to reimburse me for that trip, which I have plane tickets and stuff, and that was supposed to come off the $1,350 that I owed her. And all of this was verbal. We never wrote anything down because we weren't friends at the time. I was very grateful for what she had done for me.
So you should have paid her back.
Yes.
And you still should pay her back.
Well, I did.
You explain to me how you paid her back.
Okay.
And give me the whole story. You were going to visit your son.
Yes.
And at that time, your son and her daughter were an item.
Correct.
And your son wanted you to bring his girlfriend.
Actually,
look, your son wanted you to bring his girlfriend.
yes, he wanted to see her.
Right. And she said, let me just speculate. She said, she's not going. I don't have the money for her to go.
No, that's not what she said. As a matter of fact, I asked the daughter not to go because at that point I thought I was only going to have 5 hours to spend with my son because right after graduation he was being sent to Florida.
According to your answer, madam, you said, I spoke to Kathy and she said she wasn't willing to pay for the expenses for Andy and her friend. That's what you swore to in your answer.
Right. So we were supposed to take it out of the $1,350. She wasn't supposed to give me the money. That's what we did. That's what we agreed upon.
Go ahead.
That is simply not true. My daughter was going to go see her boyfriend graduate. I paid for the trip. That was her birthday present for me. She bought the tickets online. I went over there and took her the cash for the tickets.
Well,
I paid
let me
for
ask
her
you-
trip, plus I gave her money to spend while she was there.
Let me ask you this question. Why would you give her money if she owed you all this money?
Because she wouldn't have the money to buy the tickets, and I wanted my daughter to go. She wanted to go. She did not want my daughter to go.
I didn't want her to go because of the fact that we only had a couple hours. So I asked her, let me just spend those few hours with my son. I've only got 5 hours with him. She threw such a fit. And Andy did. Her daughter threw such a fit.
Her daughter did. And what about your son?
My son understood that I only had the 5 hours at that point. At first, he did want her to go.
Listen to me. Your son wanted his girlfriend there.
Of course he did.
Your son wanted his girlfriend.
Of course
It's
he
very
did.
nice to see his mother.
Absolutely.
Mother, I want to see my girlfriend.
Right.
If my mother brings my girlfriend, I'd be happy to see my mother.
Right.
But put your hand down. But if I had to choose, you say my girlfriend, and you can write me a long letter. All right, you owe her $1,350. That's what I'm satisfied she gave you as far as a loan is concerned. As far as the rest of the cash that you gave her, I'm not comfortable with awarding her that cash because you had the opportunity to have proof here before me that you did, in fact, at least take the money out of the bank. You chose, that was a conscious choice not to do that. And I don't believe that there was any sort of a set-off for these plane tickets. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,350. That's all.
What is that excuse, Miss? Step out.
She always said we'd talk about it after the holidays. And after the holidays, everything started getting crazy.
She just never made any effort to pay me back whatsoever.
Her daughter started taking my daughter out. They started drinking and stealing and doing horrible things.
Well, we were teenagers. We were like 16. We did crazy things. We went out to parties. We did what teenagers do. We went to parties and stuff. I mean, that was a long time ago. She just said, do you want to do it with me? And I didn't want to just tell her no.
Her son was on probation when my daughter met him, so it's not like her kids are great.
I'm not doing that anymore. My son broke up with her daughter, and that's what instigated the entire thing.
Dragging the kids into it, it's not about them. It's not about them at all, and she made it all about them.
Plaintiff Mary Bankston is suing her ex-boyfriend, mechanic Weldon Hultgren, for charges he made on her credit card. Mary says she took Weldon in after he was released from prison.
Now, this is case number 474 on the calendar in the matter of Bankston versus Hultgren. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Bankston, who are these people?
This is April Hultgren, Bo's daughter, and my fiance, Randy.
And who is this?
It's my fiance, Tara Harris.
Everybody brings a fiance. What do they have to do with this case? Anything?
She's seen some stuff and heard some stuff, and other than that, that's about it.
Okay. According to what I read, Miss Bankston, he used to be a friend of yours or a boyfriend of yours?
He used to live with me.
Live with you as a boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
And then he went to jail?
No, ma'am. He lived with me after he came out of jail.
What year did you go to jail, sir?
In January '92.
And how old was April in 1992?
7.
Who did she live with?
When I was in jail, she lived with my mom and my dad.
What happened with that?
They died.
When did they die?
In '96, my dad died, and in '98, my mom died.
What happened in 1998?
She went to live with a friend of mine for a little while, and her mother come got her. After that, Mary went and got her out of a motel room.
How old was she at the time, Miss Bankston?
She was 13 when I took her.
How did you find her in a motel room?
She called me and told me she wanted something she hadn't eaten in a few days, and I took her something to eat. And when I got to the motel, it was a bad place for her to be. And so I took her with me, and I raised her until he got out.
When did you get out?
In 2001, October 2001.
Were you in communication with Miss Bankston while your daughter was living with her?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you tell her in this communication?
Told her I appreciated everything she was doing for her.
Who was supporting her at the time she was living with you?
I was.
When you got out of jail, Mr. Hultgren, where did you go?
I moved in with Mary.
Mary and your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to work?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you start supporting the household?
I was pulling my share, ma'am.
What was he paying for?
He was paying like electric bills, and I paid the house payment because it was my house before he came along, and he paid the electric bill and things like that. He was pulling his weight as long as he lived there. Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever ask Miss Bankstrom how much she spent on your daughter while you were incarcerated?
No.
Why not?
I don't have any idea why I didn't.
Well, this lawsuit's very simple. It said that at some point you used her credit card after you got out of jail while you were living with her. You used her credit card. You told her you would pay for the bills on her credit card, and you didn't. And you owe her some money, $1,100.
Right.
So?
She got me some credit cards off her account, and went and ate on them and done some stuff on them. I took my boy to World Series, Little League World Series up in Oklahoma on a gas card, and other than that, you know, I was paying them until I left.
And so what happened when you left?
I don't know, it wasn't a good scene.
Did you leave with your daughter or without your daughter?
I left without my daughter.
So you left your daughter there?
No, she wasn't living there at the time, I don't think.
Where was
she
she
was
living?
living at another place.
Where was she living?
She was living with another friend of ours.
Why?
Her and her father did not get along, so she moved out of the house.
Okay. Can I see the charges that he made?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Would you like all the evidence? Or just
Sure. Golden Corral,
That's an eating establishment.
Japanese Palace.
Another eating establishment. I have several eating establishments that we ate at on my credit cards, too.
Well, this is a lot of eating out.
Been 10 years since I ate out anywhere, so we kind of ate out pretty regular.
So why don't you pay for it?
Well, I really don't feel like I owe her anything on that, because I put I done some other things, I wasn't trying to get anything from her that I done over there. I mean,
Well, give me an example, sir.
I put a storage building in the backyard. It was like $900-something bucks. I helped put a central air and heating unit in her house. I was labor on there. I put some electrical work in the garage and stuff.
Well, how much do you think it takes to support a teenager, sir? A month?
Quite a bit.
Listen, if you have a large golden retriever, you can't take care of a large golden retriever for less than $100 a month. So
Right.
would you say it costs $200 a month to take care of a teenager?
At least.
Let's try 3.
Yeah, probably.
14 months, right? And she was there 14 months, and you didn't pay any support, right? So why would you stick her with $1,100 worth of bills?
The bottom line is that it was kind of crazy over there. Just several things that happened, and, she wrecked my motorcycle and all that, right
She
there
what?
at the end. She wrecked my motorcycle.
She wrecked your motorcycle. I couldn't understand. She wrecked your motorcycle. How'd
Right.
she do that?
Well, she took off on it and crashed
That he
it.
wouldn't even had if I had not had financed it for him.
And I was without the motorcycle for 3 months. I paid $500 a month on that while I was in the shop. $6,500 a month.
Well, did she do that on purpose?
Well, I told her not to get on it because she never rode one before, and she took off on it on her own wheel and crashed it. Hurt herself real bad. And then right before I got the motorcycle, I was going to refinance the motorcycle because she kept hounding me about getting it refinanced
Because
out of
she
her
was on a
name.
loan.
Right.
Well,
And,
she asked you to refinance it because she didn't want to be on the loan.
Right.
Well,
So
that sounds right to me.
Well, I finally did that, and the day I was
No, he
going
didn't.
the day I was going to refinance it, she called me and told me that she wasn't going to sign off on that loan until I give her $1,000. And I said, well, I ain't give me $1,000. And I went up there and traded it in and got it out of her name anyway.
What a prince. This is your fiancé. Is there anything you want to say to me?
Yeah, do I need to stand up?
You do.
I just have one comment, and that is whenever he went to refinance the motorcycle last year, he got his credit report and got it back, and it was about that thick, where he only had 4 credit cards in his name that he had gotten since they split up. Well, this had 18 open accounts on it.
We're not talking about the charges for those.
I know, but what I'm saying is...
What's your name?
Tara Harris.
Miss Harris, how old are you?
32.
You have children?
1.
How old?
12.
Who supports that child?
Me and him support him, and I get child support.
You get child support from the child's father?
Yes.
You get child support every month?
No, ma'am.
Every week?
No, ma'am.
How often?
Supposed to get it every month.
Yeah. And what happened?
He's been living at my house. He was with his dad. He's been living with us for the last year.
Oh, so
And-
before that he was living with his father?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you paying child support
Yes,
to his
ma'am.
father? How often?
Out of every paycheck, weekly.
Now, when you don't get child support from his father, does that annoy you?
Yes, ma'am.
And that child is biologically related to you.
Correct.
And biologically related to his father. How do you feel about somebody who doesn't feel any responsibility to somebody who supports their child for 14 months?
She lived with me for 5 years before he got out.
5 years. And pays for clothes, doctor, shoes, vacation, everything else. And doesn't say, as soon as I get out, I'm going to start paying you back for whatever you laid out because I know that that's my responsibility. Think that kind of person has good moral fiber?
Actually, I think Bubba does have good moral fiber. He just, he didn't work for 10 years. He didn't have the money.
Well, he does now.
Yes, ma'am, he does, and he
So why?
greatly
Just a second.
appreciates.
Just a second. I don't care if he appreciates. You got to put your money where your mouth is, honey. Appreciating is not good enough. How could you say he's got good moral fiber? He's working now. And if his child was supported by a stranger for 5 years, and not only supported by, but nurtured by, stayed with, took care of when she was sick, whatever else, you start paying that back. She starts saying that was my obligation. And because I committed a crime doesn't mean that I don't have that obligation. So instead of not paying her support, now, I'm not talking about a year ago or 2 years ago, I'm talking about now. Instead of supporting your child, to whom he is not obligated in any way legally, you should send that money to her. She's not even suing for that money. I would love for her to do that. All she says was he used the credit card, $1,100, and that he should pay. Don't you think he should pay that too? Minimally.
No, I don't think he should pay that credit card debt.
You think he should pay her for supporting his daughter?
He's probably, yeah, I would say that he's probably responsible for that.
Well, she's not suing. She's not suing him for that. She says, I took that responsibility on myself, and I'm not even going to pursue that. I just want what he's supposed to pay me on the credit card when he left. You get my drift?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,100. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I felt he can buy other things. He can buy a new Harley, but he couldn't pay me $1,100 for credit card bills that he charged up.
What he'll go for? I mean, I don't know what I've done. If she wouldn't have been there, I don't know where she'd be, you know.
He has somebody else, I have somebody else. We're friends. We have a daughter together.
I'm just glad she's going to get paid so I don't have to hear him argue anymore.
I will never put nobody on my credit cards ever again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of 48 versus Cradaville, step forward, please.
22-year-old mechanic Timothy Fournier is suing his former live-in girlfriend, 18-year-old Laura Cradaville, for rent and for damage to his property. Laura claims she paid her rent in cash.
Mr. Fournier, the defendant was your girlfriend. You lived together for a while. It is your claim she owes you some money for rent and property that you claim she destroyed of yours. The defendant says that she gave you money every week and that whatever property she had of yours she returned after she received a telephone call from the police. When did you and the defendant move in together, and what kind of property?
We moved into an apartment on September 1st.
In whose name was the lease?
Both of ours.
You have a copy of the lease?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it, please? Mr. Fournier, does your hand always shake, or do I make you a little nervous?
A little of both.
No, I just make you nervous. Don't be nervous. It's a Tuesday. I don't do anything really bizarre to litigants until Friday.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I had a very big loan on a truck. What happened is it was taken and burnt.
Your Honor, that's not true. He took it.
You pled guilty to burning the truck?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Timothy Fournier says his ex-girlfriend Laura Cradaville owes for rent and for breaking his PlayStation 2.
All right, so tell me how much money she owes you and from what?
I have her owing half the security deposit and the first and second month's rent that she had never paid me for. And that came up to...
Well, did you get the security deposit back?
No, because of the damages that she had made to the house.
Did you pay any of the rent?
Your Honor, the agreement was I'd give him $100 a week, and from the date we moved in until the date we left, I had given him $100 every week except the last week I gave him $60.
Is that right?
No.
Well, how much did she give you?
$15, $20 here for the odds and ends.
Well, did you keep a record of what she gave you?
Of what she gave me? No.
Well, how am I supposed to figure that out, Mr. Fournier?
I have no idea. But I
Me neither.
But I did not...
Me neither. When two children want to play house and then it doesn't work out, you come into court and you say, here, this is my problem, you figure it out. Well, that's not the way responsible people behave. Did you keep a record?
No, Your Honor.
When did you separate?
The day we moved out, on November 15th.
Tell me about it.
We had gotten into an argument that spawned from an online, me talking online about certain people, and then it spawned into like this big giant argument where insults were thrown back and forth to finally we had decided to break up.
Okay.
And I was planning on leaving, so I called my mother so I could pick up my brother's truck. When I went down there to get my brother's truck, and my dad had met me to help me move all my stuff out. When I got there, the house had been ransacked and the door was left wide open.
Can I see it, please?
The door was not open, and the house was not destroyed, except from what he had taken with him.
And that's what the apartment looked like when we had got back.
You made a mess, madam.
Your Honor,
yes, you did.
The house was a mess before
Oh,
we even
no, no, no,
broke
no,
up.
no, 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 no. You made a mess. You made a mess. Absolutely. Well, it looks like all her clothes.
A lot of things would look like they're ransacked and thrown around the house.
That's the way the house always looked.
No.
No, it really did.
Like that. No.
That's the bedroom. We didn't have anything in there but clothes. We didn't have a bed. We didn't have nothing.
Nobody lives like this.
We did,
Except maybe a 14-year-old.
We really did.
Well, you should have been neater.
Should have been.
Okay. How did you get out of this lease? I'm curious.
She had signed herself off the lease, so what I had done is I was claiming bankruptcy, so I added that to my bankruptcy.
Why were you claiming bankruptcy?
I put myself into a lot of debt.
How old are you?
22.
How did you put yourself in so much debt that at your age you have to declare a bankruptcy?
I was charged with burning my truck and attempting to fraud. So then when I pled out, I couldn't claim it. So
you're going to have to be more specific with me, sir. You're being very circumspect.
I had a very big loan on a truck, and then what happened is it was taken and burnt. And
Your Honor, that's not true. He took it.
Shh. You had a truck that was on a lease.
Yes.
And you owed a lot of money on it.
Yes.
And it broke down?
No, it was crashed and burned.
You were charged with it and you pled guilty to burning the truck?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Shh. Okay. And then you had to make restitution?
Yes.
For the truck. And how much did you owe?
I owed 18 on the truck, 18,000.
So you stuck the leasing company with $18,000?
Well, yeah, I mean, I claimed
What do you mean, well,
bankruptcy.
yeah?
I mean, they came after me and I went bankrupt.
What do you think? You think somebody comes down and gives the leasing company $18,000? When you declare bankruptcy, if you own somebody a debt and you declare bankruptcy, what that means is that they're now stuck with a truck that you burned.
Yeah.
Who advised you to do that? Your father? You didn't advise him to do that, did you?
No.
I should hope not. So what you're telling me, sir, is what you did was you decided to lump the whole thing together. That when you declared bankruptcy for this truck, you also lumped together the broken lease.
Yeah.
And you expect sympathy from me, is what I'm asking you.
No, I'm not expecting sympathy.
Ah, perfect. Good. All right. So what property do you claim she took or destroyed?
She had taken my PlayStation 2 that night.
Good. Now, she says in her answer that she returned it to you.
She did, but it came back broken.
Where did you get the PlayStation 2 from?
Sears.
And you put it on your credit card?
Yes.
You declare bankruptcy on that credit card, too?
Yes.
Get out of here. Is he playing with a full deck?
Yes.
Does he not understand a concept of morality?
Yes, he does.
Well, it's not evident here, sir. He took advantage of Sears by lumping them into his bankruptcy rather than paying off the credit card. And now you're suing her because you want the money. I assume if I give you the money for the PlayStation that you broke, you're going to give it to Sears, right?
No.
Get out of here. Oh, goodbye. Have a happy life. Dad, you got a lot of work to do. He's 22. Maybe still salvageable. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The funny thing is that the stuff was already broken. Like the dresser that he was going to try and get money for was broken when we moved in.
A lot of holes and stuff that was put in the walls was caused by her.
Obviously too young to move out and try to do something that serious stuff.
It was worth a shot, I guess. That was about it.
Tim's just bitter because I left him for Jamie.
I had no idea she left me for anybody else until now.
Computer programmer Jeremy Hulse is suing businessman Greg Hummel for a refund on a horse. Jeremy claims the horse had not been broken as promised.
Guys, this is case number 465 on the calendar in the matter of Hulse versus Hummel. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. Hulse, it is your claim that the defendant sold you a horse that you specifically requested be a tame horse because the horse was for your father.
Yes.
That turned out to be a wild horse.
Exactly.
That couldn't be ridden.
No.
And Mr. Hummel says you don't get a refund. You had an opportunity to ride the horse. Must be something wrong with your riding ability.
Probably.
Is that right, sir?
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am is better than yep. How long have you been in the horse business, Mr. Hummel?
I'm not really in the horse business. I have a small ranch that we use horses for lots of different things. We hunt and do lots of trail riding on the horses. The horses are ridden by a lot of people, young people, people that can't ride very well.
How many horses do you have?
Right now, I have 6 horses.
And at the time Mr. Hulse bought his horse, how many horses did you have?
7 horses.
And why were you selling?
Well, because I needed some money. It was getting close to Christmas, and I needed some money.
Okay. Did you put an ad in the paper?
I put an ad on a local website.
Okay. Can I see a copy of the ad, please?
The title says well-broke horses.
For sale, well-broke horses. Prices vary. Okay. So you were selling 5 of your horses.
That's correct.
Did you sell all 5?
No.
How many horses did you sell?
Thus far, I've sold 3 of them.
Well, my math isn't that great, as Bert can attest, but if you have 6 horses now and you had 7 horses then and you sold 3...
I picked up a couple more horses, though.
So you bought some more?
Yep.
When did you buy the other horses, sir?
About a week ago.
From where?
From a friend of mine.
Okay. Now, what did you want a horse for, Mr. Hulse?
Some of my friends and I have gone in on some horses. My dad was looking to join our little group and buy another horse to ride. He's totally inexperienced.
How old is your father?
55.
A baby. So he's an inexperienced rider, and you want him to have a...
Yes, and a little bit heavier, so we wanted a stout horse.
Tell me what happened when you answered the ad.
I called Greg on the